This is week 7. Just a real quick update on the plants. They're exploding and growing quickly. Got them to videotaping them, I think on Monday or Tuesday. A lot of this will go out to Price's Fork and be planted in probably gallon containers or even right in the ground. Started doing some 3D printing of the first form. So it's getting chopped into multiple pieces. A lot of gluing will happen. Also some updates on the PCB card on top of the Arduino. So hopefully get testing this on Wednesday to see if this actually works. Talks to the VIVE Tracker through the pogo pin. So I don't know why I have this in here. This is kind of a concept or idea of what the sonic arms will kind of attach to. And I saw this also kind of interested in what we could do with projection mapping and with the drinks. So a light going through with all the smoke could be interesting. Real quick breakdown on the color scheme for the whole entire VR experience. I think in the previous video I kind of showcased, sorry about that, it was a little lightning outside. It's pretty dramatic here. So this is a scene that I'm thinking about. I think we're going to use Niagara particle systems with an Unreal game engine. We're also going to look at maybe some Houdini pipelines too for maybe these pods going through space. And before I showed you kind of a swarming barracuda, so this would be going into kind of concentric or clockwise circles, and then maybe even using this as a light source, and then as you go out there's nothing. This kind of goes out into infinity. But I'm really interested, this Dior basically video that he did is really cool. It's almost a duotone or maybe even a triotone scheme that they use throughout the entirety of their video. I'm really intrigued with how they pulled that off. I'm trying to limit the color palette and having some sort of depth and particle systems. Really intrigued to how they use that to kind of diffuse the light as it passes through. You can see some of these scenes, just kind of some simple ways they use light as it goes back as an element to diffuse the scene. So anyways, some really cool programs that you can upload the photo and give you kind of a color palette. So as I go forward with particles and setting up the scene, we'll have some way of knowing color picker to utilize kind of these color schemes. So again, really cool stuff with the particle systems or just simple smoke within a scene, and even in the video has really cool particles being driven, some sort of movement or narrative in the piece. So I'm really interested in that. So in here, just kind of the kind of pre-sketches of ideas before I really got started. This is a couple months ago. It's a totally different scheme now, but the ideas, overall idea, some of these colors will be kind of overall for this form. So I started breaking down these into elements. So these, instead of buttons, will be more of a tube coming out. So I'm thinking about using a tube. I think I have some sketches, some ideas of how to do that. Doing some resin printing, some higher level printing on that. So obviously I need to go back into Maya and do that. Also ideas of particle systems kind of emanating from there. This is the back tube of the sonic boom. Thinking of ideas of how to attach the hoses, off the shelf stuff, probably medical or even, I don't know, commercial uses of these, and utilize whatever tubing is available. And again, resin print these out, but really interested making this clear, but also within the tubing using some sort of particle system to kind of illuminate this, or even do some texturing on the tube itself. Some ideas of what that could look like with this particle systems, or smoke going through that system would look like, or even coming out of the tube at the end. Here is the kind of the gray area here, this flat plane. I'm thinking about 3D printing that to be more of a surface, more textural, than maybe painting it with a rubberized material, so it has a little bit different feel. Here's some rubber I was kind of thinking of, but actually just paint it, kind of differentiate it from the wood grain here and also the hard plastic here. So trying to get the resin, rubber, plastic, and all these kind of different materials, trying to start working on that. I know that's more of a 5-year goal. This is kind of overall color scheme that I went for the whole thing. Really interested in this kind of muted tones here. And I was really kind of fascinated with the barnacle, even though that's not what barnacles look like, but really trying to figure out how to bump off this surface here and encrust it. And then as we 3D print it, it will have that feeling of kind of texture to it. And then again, a lot of these ideas are coming from just going down a rabbit hole, kind of ideas of what these textures could look like and feel like as people touch the forms. This is for the sonic boom. The actual, this will be 3D printed, and we're thinking about 2 feet, or maybe a little bit more, 2 feet, maybe 26 inches or so. Interesting idea is this is rounded on the back, so as it's printing, we'll just stop maybe midpoint and have it where we can drop in a speaker, and then it keeps continuing on printing, and then kind of embed that speaker inside of it. It's kind of the idea. So there's 2 intakes here. Each intake will maybe one for smell and also pressure. So as you stand in front of it, you feel pressure, volume of air coming out, and also sonic-wise, sound coming out of here too. So I don't know what sound and volume of air coming out would do. It's kind of interesting if there's a huge volume of air, if it will distort the sound or do some kind of weird things. So I think these are just kind of studies of particle systems. Just trying to find, I was hoping to find like a really cool place that had some really unusual particles, but these are more gamified. We'll keep looking into that. Maybe look more into fluid dynamics inspiration. These are kind of conduits that would go into the intake. Interesting, just a really simple texture here. Actual physical textures that I've been looking at. I think this is kind of the idea, just kind of this multi-layer of textures, bumps, scratches. Keeping it very simple, but really allowing this surface to be kind of the middle point, the focal point of color. The rest of it will just kind of be muted out, especially this part. Thinking very simple kind of dark tones for that. I think I'm kind of inspired by the darkness of this, but really inspired kind of starting point of textures and a little bit of color with this. And I think I started with some drawings here, what that could look like. Some ribbing. This is will be CNC'd wood slats, but then as you get into the VR, this would be a little bit more textured. So that's what I'm thinking for the Sonic arm. Hopefully by the end of the week, this is my goal, is have this one, probably the first piece, textured and kind of playing around with what that would look like. Hopefully in about 7 days, start 3D printing this too. So really need input from of what kind of speaker to throw in there. Hopefully something that's under 20 or 30 bucks. Also how to wire it, how to power it. This whole idea may just be a bad idea. But anyways, this is what I'm thinking. You hear that thunder?